Footy's back. Welcome to Footy Unfilterated. I'm your host, James Clements. Sad panda Carlton fan. Just at this point, you just go, what's the point? What is the point? I'm looking forward to doing my power rankings this week because I'm going to come up with new depths to plumb. On the other side of this here screen is everyone's favourite Essendon fan. No, we'll just wait here. Then we'll go back to him in 55 seconds. You guys just cool your jets. We'll bring it back to him in a second. Oh, it's Jez. Jez, what's going on?
Hey. Oh, mate, what's not happening? It's all a buzz around here. Geez, there's been some stuff going on in footy, hasn't there?
Yes, there has, which is why
it's not really footy.
It's good to have Footy Unfilterated here just to go, who cares?
Wow, that's what we're here for.
What do we care about? Anyway, so round 7 is done. Footy is fully back. So we're going to wrap up the week that was, and we'll set you up for next week. But in the middle, we'll do some weekly awards. We'll do some nars. We'll tackle the big questions that footy poses each week. I think I'll do the rant early on. Anyway, let's just bloody get into it. Episode, I think,
let's do it.
9. So this is Footy Without the Bull. It's Footy Unfilterated. Let's go. All right, Jez. No, wait, bring it back. 55 more seconds. Just need to see if you're ready to talk. There we go. No. So
now
you've alluded to it right off the bat. There has been. I wonder if this is symptomatic of AFL media's incessant, unrelenting need to fuel the fires of countless hours of television. Many reams upon reams of newspaper spiel, and radio. We have to get people angry about some stuff. There was once upon a time, I think one of my favourite ideas I ever had was footy bingo. Like, at what point of the season are we at? We spin the bingo wheel. And we just sort of see where it lands, and it's like, I don't know, 2 fat ladies, and it's like, all right, 88. That means this week video reviews, and then it's like legs 11. Review. Oh, that's something to do with umpiring. Like, no, 14. What's this one? Oh yes, racist intrigue, and you're like, geez, this is getting serious. So at the moment, AFL media. Yeah, we're going full Pokemon. Everything. We're going full Pokemon. Got to catch them all. So
I can see Mitch Cleary and John Ralph out there just walking around with their phones trying to collect them all at once. No, that's mine. I got it first. No, I got it first.
That's exactly. It's exactly what's happening. So to the point where Greg Swan was like fronting the media, which he doesn't actually do. They're like, look, so the ARC stuff on the weekend was pretty bad. There's score review stuff's pretty rough, I'll tell you. Also, that Lance Collard thing, boy, did we just screw that up.
You got that one right.
Jeez. We're going to talk about Stand. We're going to talk about everything. And you're like, geez, I thought Greg Swan was meant to be in there to not be the reactive one, and all they're doing is reacting. It's like, that's the problem, AFL. The lack of foresight into the way that you're operating is seemingly the big problem. Behind most of these problems that you've caused, it's 100% the meme. We're all trying to find the guy who did this, and the guy is the AFL. Yes. It's like, oh, geez, but fans have never been more happy with the state of umpiring in the game, Jez, which is I love it when they trot that.
Yeah, I've definitely heard every fan be quite complimentary on the umpires and the job they're doing. Every fan you speak to especially a losing side, seems to have glowing reports from the umpiring. So, good job, AFL. Good job.
I don't want to belabor it because I hate it. I just like doing a weekly AFL show as well. It's like, look, we're going to hit on like 4 or 5 things each week that you're just like, it's extraneous. None of this really, really sort of like matters in the grand scheme of things. And then you get a couple of things that actually do. And like the arc, the arc chaos.
Just tell the dog to shut up. That's what you get here at Footy Unfilterated. You get it all. Nuts, bolts, the whole lot.
To be honest, that might as well have been the AFL CEO today. Just we're going to go out there and bark. And
Shut up, Andrew.
So the arc chaos from the weekend where the Rowan Marshall decision where he's like marked it over the line, hasn't whatever. And the joke being it took 55 seconds for them to figure it all out, send it back, and just chaos ensues. Just stupid. The goal umpire hasn't called for it or anything either, and that's the change that they've made. They're like, we're not
doing it anyway.
We're not going to just do it anyway now. We're going to just go back to like the umpires deciding it. It's like, but the reason that you did change that was because you didn't want another Ben Keys howler from the 23 finals where you kicked a goal and it was called a point, and it was just an absolute horror show. So now you're just walking that back and we're just going to get to that position again and do this again, aren't we? It's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep feeding the beast, Jez. We're going to keep feeding the footy beast.
Name it. All I can say is name a sport that these types of reviews have made better.
To be honest,
cricket for a while, but then like what's happened with us, the umpires now rely on it. So instead of making the call, they just don't make the call and let the players decide whether they're reviewed.
Yep.
So I'm
shout
100% against reviews in all sports.
I love it.
Get rid of them.
I like this.
Get rid of them.
You know my stance when it comes to basketball. I'm like, you have a 24-second shot clock if you're reviewing it. And even then, we just don't need it for every possession. It's literally got to be at the end of the game or just I don't care. But the other one was I was watching it while it was happening. I'm like, why have they just not gone that Griffin Logan's touched it? Like, what are we doing here? And then they've just gone, no, we're just going to do the thing. It's like,
I'm pretty sure his finger was at right angles.
Like, what is this system?
What's
this isn't a system.
Actual?
If we're not just adhering to the actual like idea of what we're meant to be doing, we're like, oh no, we've called it in the middle now. We can't be bothered. So, but what? Oh, you idiots! So they're running around chasing their tail in classic AFL fashion. The stand rule is obviously under the gun this week as well, which is pretty fun because we were ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah.
The other one though was
that's why you come here first.
Yeah. Like we're out here breaking news. It's
correct.
It's call me Jay.
We're all over it, Jim. We're all over it.
Jay Clarkmans. Anyway, the appeals board.
Does that make me slobbo?
Maybe.
As I sit here sucking tins.
Is that the moon? Settle down, Jared. Jeez. The appeals board. So Lance Collard was initially rubbed out for 8 weeks.
Gee whiz.
For allegedly using a homophobic slur. And there's like, I don't know, some other sort of...
Disgrace. Just disgrace, this whole situation.
Some weird like racial undertones. Like, oh, well, he doesn't know any, but it's like, that's just not an excuse. I don't care what your background is, like, to be honest, in this regard. Like it's
also the second time he's been reported for the same thing. Exceptionally
stupid stuff, right? Whether or not he didn't say it, like, don't put yourself in that situation, perhaps. Anyway, it gets all brought down to 4 weeks, 2 of which are suspended to be looked after at the end of next year and all this crazy stuff. But the wording of the appeals board finding was one of the single worst word salads I've ever read in my life, which was by turns offensive, racist, and exceptionally stupid. Like, wildly stupid. Oh, footy's a hard sport, and sometimes you say words. It's like, I don't think anyone's arguing that, but I think if you do say the words, guess what? You cop punished. That's what the rules are for.
I actually thought I was reading an article from the 1860s.
That's it.
And I had a look, and it's 2026 Herald Sun. It's not the Argus from 1864. I couldn't believe. I'm like,
stunning.
Is this actually what he said in this day and age? I know there's some stupid old white dudes out there, of which we are not. I'd like to point that out. We've got a slither of intelligence. We might share it, but that's okay. But I thought these people were had been phased out or at least been moved into positions where they only mix amongst their own circles so that we don't have to deal with them or hear the absolute garbage that comes out of their mouth. But I guess I was wrong and one slipped through the cracks.
And then he was sacked
Good.
from the appeals board by the AFL, which is like the smartest thing they've done in a little while. They're like, wait a minute, what? No, you're fired. I
think the fact that they did it so quickly too is very, very good because knowing the AFL and the way they like to dawdle on these types of things, this could have been drawn out and we'd still be talking about whether he should or shouldn't be fired. But the fact that they've just gone, chop, see you later, buddy, is the best thing they could have done.
Yeah, so they dismissed the chair of the appeals board, William Horton. Was he a QC? Because, it was just one of the stupid single stupidest things you'll ever read. So good job by him, I guess, but what a mess. Anyway, and then I think we'll talk about this. Here we go. There's last bad one because then there's some actual good sort of stuff. Ross Lyon at training may have gotten himself into some racist hot water here, Jez.
Yeah.
Wasn't
good.
But this is interesting. He was brought up on it by Brad Hill, which is very good. And he was straight away like, all right, yes, I have screwed up. My bad. I throw myself at your mercy, essentially, of like, look, hey, I screwed this one up, so what do you want me to do? And they all handled it maturely and I think smartly, which is a bit of a strange one in this day and age. So it was all right.
So, there was obviously reports that he had offered his resignation should they want that. And, I think it's not something that you do flippantly. So, and if you look at Ross's history, and I think I heard Nick Rewalt mention it today, that, through all of his coaching time, he's always had a lot of Indigenous players on his list. He's always done a lot, from what I hear, behind the scenes for Indigenous, which footy clubs do a lot for Indigenous players, for in various forms, whether it's at the highest level or down there. And I think that the fact that he has come out and said, look, I stuffed up, and let's be honest, we have all at some point as non-Indigenous have probably made flippant remarks like that, uneducated, without the intention to offend or harm or anyone. But anyone who says they haven't is a liar. That's just a fact. So the fact that Ross was able to get on the front foot and say, this is not cool, and Brad Hill being so mature as to go directly to him and not just turn it into this big media storm and carry on, which, it looks like the media tried to. I think there was reports of, a falling out, and then it was great to see on Instagram that Brad Hill posted, we love Ross, and, just put it all to bed, because the half the problem with a lot of this, and obviously the casual racism is alive and well in Australia. There's no doubting that. We have, as you mentioned before, it seems to be this time of year where we have one or two reports of either somebody making a mistake like this. And I reckon on my bingo card, Jim is probably a fan commenting at the game on social media who thinks that they're funny or God knows why they do it. I personally don't know why you would feel the need to go that far. We've obviously had people booing an Aboriginal elder at an ANZAC service. So clearly people think that kind of stuff's okay. But I don't know why all of a sudden we think that this is okay and that we can boo people at an ANZAC service. Like, it's disgraceful.
Yeah, I reckon bring back punching disrespectful dickheads in the head, I reckon. I feel that's about right.
And I know I'm straying from the point a little bit, but it's all kind of related. The best part was when Uncle Colin Hunter did his Welcome to Country at Anzac Day game. The crowd cheered, and it was one of the better, my whole thing with it is I don't, it doesn't bother me if it happens or it doesn't. I understand the meaning it has to Aboriginal people. I've been explained what it means quite a few times, and I really respect and admire the culture that Aboriginal people have. But my whole thing is if it really hurts your butthole that much, go and make a coffee. Go and buy a beer. Do anything. Why do you feel the need to have to get on social media and shit can it? if you can't, the odd thing and I'm sure your mum and dad used to say to you, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
It's a really good point. So
rant over.
I think we're going to come out of this Ross thing going, all right, it's okay. I mean, Ross also had the press conference last week and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, good times for St Kilda, but I don't know. They'll smash Carlton this week and it all will be right in the world.
Look, one last thing on that. I think that Ross and St Kilda with this particular issue have come out of it very well because of the way they've handled it so maturely. So,
well, I think this sort of stuff simply comes down to communication, open lines of communication, making sure that, like, all right, people understand that, what can cause offence, to not do that. And it's like, all right, good, sweet, thank you. We've all learned something a little bit here. And yeah, Ross was wrong and he understands it. So that's good. Yep. Good-ish kind of news. Let's go. Jamara Ugle-Hagen came back. That was kind of fun. So we missed that at the start of last week when we did this show. Because I think he played in the VFL the week prior. I didn't realise that they'd sort of...
I think they called it very late. I think it was even late Thursday afternoon that they made the call that he was coming in. So
that was kind of nice.
It was good to see him back out there.
It's very cool. So it was the first game in, a year and a half essentially for him. So like 500 plus days. So it's a long time. And the other one was Aaron Norton. So he took a big spill in the Thursday night game. It was one of the most
not good,
brutal-looking spills you'll see on a footy field, where he's gone up in the air, twisted, landed on his head, neck sideways. And you're like, well, I don't want to have just seen a man die, but Jesus, if it's going to happen, it's like one of those. He might play this week.
I was watching it and I actually nearly jumped over my chair. It was horrible. Yep. Like, just he'd taken a hang-on maybe 10 minutes earlier, and it was a fantastic mark. And when I saw it go, I thought, oh, here he goes. And then all of a sudden you're watching it, you're like, it was like a car crash in real time. It wasn't cool. It was great to see him as he got stretched off, put the old thumbs up and say he's all right, but that wasn't good, Jim. It wasn't good.
It was horrible. So he apparently,
great to hear he's okay though.
Yeah, apparently had a sore neck and shoulders and head and stuff, as you can imagine.
You don't say.
But yeah, so I think they're going to look to see how he goes. He was seen
carrying his head in a gym bag later on, but here we go.
So it's that he came out without a major injury is awesome. So I don't know. We'll see how he goes this week, and that's pretty crazy. Similar thing happened with Bont last week. It's sort of after we did our show, it came out that he might struggle to get up for that game. He played. He was awesome. And you're like, oh, geez. Mm-hmm. And I guess the good news for the Dogs is that Libba is still progressing through the concussion protocol. He might be back. And Tinglish is still a test this week as well. So the other little good one about a bad injury was your man, Archer May, who looked like he hurt his knee pretty badly. But it turns out he's avoided all the structural damage and he's got an MCL sprain / strain, I think. So little bit.
You sort of hate to see it with a young, especially the bigger guys, and taking away the fact that he's a bomber. But any young, like Sam Darcy, it was horrible to see when you just see them starting to come along with their careers. And Archer May in the last few weeks and up until he hurt himself had been, slowly but surely progressing and showing what he's made of. And then you get these injuries, which are just, it's a shame. But hopefully it doesn't rob them of too much of their best footy is all I hope out of this. But good news that it wasn't the dreaded ACL. So
what else do we have? Was there's like some fines and stuff in the match review, whatever, and
I don't think there was much note out of there. I'm sure Zach Butter's got a fine for existing again. But
he's like, you looked at an umpire, you're fine. He's like, come on, man. Anyway,
really again.
But I guess the cool thing was it was the Anzac Day game on Saturday, the Anzac round, which they kind of try to balance out without belting you over the head with it to a degree, but they do a pretty good job of it, I think. Obviously, the Anzac Eve game is incredible. The Anzac Day game itself is awesome. I do like we had one down in Tassie this week, which is kind of neat, out in Freo, Adelaide. Mm-hmm. So it was all around the country, which is kind of nice. And some of the jerseys were absolutely mint. And you know me, Jez, I'm a big jersey guy, me.
You certainly are.
If you look behind me, actually, I did receive, we've got a new addition to the studio today, a Cleveland Cavaliers signed Sean Kemp jersey. You beauty. So, anyway. Do you have the Carlton jersey up behind me as well with the 6 on the back? We're talking about this on the weekend. I was hanging out with some of my old high school mates and talking about, what number you'd have on your back and all this sort of stuff, and like favourite footy players. And I think this came up because on the train home after the horrible insert Carlton loss here, I was sitting there with a squid and a bloke in front of me who was wearing a 27 on the back of his Carlton jersey. I'm like, I had to ask. I'd had a few. I was talking about this with you the other day as well. It's like once you've gone to this point, you're like, I've had 3 or 4 beers and I'm here with a 7-year-old. That'll do me now. Like I don't need to have any more. Well, that's just enough. Anyway, but I'm sitting there on the train. I tap the bloke on the shoulder and I'm like, sorry, man, I don't want to be weird or anything, but is the 27 for Dennis Armfield? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, nailed it. That's awesome. Love Dennis Armfield. Not Pitto.
He's actually coaching Bacchus Marsh in the Ballarat League at the moment.
Legend.
And he's a massive one. And obviously there's been a fair bit of talk about this, but he's in the mental health and dedicates a lot of his time to mental health and well-being of men mainly, but everyone. So, yeah, good fella, Dennis Armfield.
Love that.
Does some really good work. So.
Well, I've got the 6 on the back.
Worthy of having the number on the fans jumper for sure.
I've got the 6 on the back of this one for Cade Simpson, one of my favourite players of all time. So, anyway, let's very quickly wrap up some games because I'll tell you what, for all the good things of the ANZAC round, not many of these games were good. So the Dogs got absolutely straight killed by the Swans.
He got straight killed.
126-60. This was just a demo job. Brody Grundy was...
They need some dudes back real quick, the Dogs.
As I said, Bont was awesome, but there's just so little else sort of floating around there at the moment. Like, you're sort of hoping like someone like Fraser and co would sort of help out. Like Treloar was back, but they were even saying on the broadcast, and you're watching him live, you're like, he is still,
didn't look right.
Still like a little bit timid and a little bit limpy, and the burst and explosion wasn't quite the same.
It looks like he's worried he's going to do whatever muscle hasn't been done yet on that body. So
meanwhile, the Swans were awesome because they're the best team in existence. So
they really were.
God, they were good. I mean, you had Charlie kick 7, just having like I think Charlie. If you go through a bunch of his stuff at Marvel, he's awesome. Like I remember seeing him kick 6 against the Dogs in like 2020, maybe 2019. I don't know what it was.
They really missed Rory Lobb.
Yep.
The Dogs. So they're really struggling down back. Buku Karmas wasn't great, unfortunately.
You had O'Donnell and Lobb out as well, and he's like, it's a bit much. Chad Chunley-Warner had 20 and 3. He was awesome. Amadi Party, 3. But yeah, Dogs is 200 man. Great win for the Swans. Good on them. Then Anzac Eve, 126-72. The D's absolutely smoked the Tigers, and bit of the old, same old, right, for the Tigers. It's just...
Look, they fought valiantly for a half, as seems to be the way they go, and then Melbourne were just awesome in that second half. They just went, bye, and off they went. Cozzy was unreal again.
9 goals to 4 in the second half, and they just, with the lead already, they smoked him. Cozzy was amazing. He's going to pop up again later. It's just, there's going to be a point where we understand that the rebuilds are tough. The Tigers have got a bunch of young dudes. They're missing some of their other guys anyway, and but just it's a lot of losing, right? Just pretty rough. Saturday, Hawks 112. My beloved Gold Coast Suns 63. But I'm just saying, your mate Jim was right. It's the 27th parallel. You go below it, they're cooked. Anywhere above it, laughing. So.
Hawthorn were unreal for a quarter and a half, and then they said, we're just going to go in the rooms a bit early. And I think Sam Mitchell found out at half time and said, what the bloody hell are you boys doing in here? Get back out there and play. It looked like one of the all-time greatest cooks that he gave them there. And then Gold Coast kept coming, and I thought, this could be a pretty bloody good game. And then all of a sudden Hawthorn went, we better, if we don't want to get yelled at again, we better win this very well. And that's what they did.
Yeah, the Suns didn't kick a goal in the fourth quarter. It was crazy. So
is it time to worry about the Suns? Because they've been ordinary since basically
round 0.
When was their last win?
Last good win was round 0. The rest of the teams they've beaten
since they played Richmond.
It's basically Richmond, ordinary. West Coast, and like someone else not very good. Whereas the round 0 win was good, and apart from that, very little. So
that other team was Essendon. That's not very good.
I was trying to save it, but that's all right. Yeah. The even that wasn't a great win, right? Like it took them everything to get by them. So
they probably should have lost that game. It was just where we got in our own stupid way. So,
but the Hawks copped that spray and off they went. It was great.
Yeah, love it.
Not as much fun. Collingwood 137, Essendon 60.
And then Port Adelaide played Geelong later that night. No, look, it was. I thought we'd put up a bit more of a fight, but and to halftime we were going okay, but as happens, you get a couple of injuries and it throws your structure out. And being such a young team who are very much on confidence, it was only a matter of time before, old man Pendle's got a hold of them and. Really rode him into the dirt. So I kind of half expected this could have happened, but I was hoping it didn't. But yeah, look, it just goes to show how far off we really are. So a bit of a reality check after a couple of good weeks.
Yep. It's like Caddy was like a nice little shining light every so often. Then he'd do a couple of weird Caddy things. Like, what the hell was that? But otherwise, still good.
Archie Roberts still had 42 again. It was the alleged senior players who didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Merritt was quiet. Parrish, Colwell's fallen off a cliff. Mackay was just Ben Mackay. And then obviously the injuries to come out of it. Kako, who is going to be out for 4 to 6. We've already spoken about Archie May, and who was the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. It wasn't a great day, but Collingwood equally were awesome. Like Nick Dacos had 42 and didn't even play that well. Yeah. So
it's crazy. Yeah. I think the Pies are like this though, right? Like if there's anyone not as good as them, they will look streets ahead. And when you've got the likes of Pendle's back having 43, a pair of Dakai racking up 77 touches between them, you're just like, come on, man.
It just doesn't help. And there's a couple of stats that I heard over the last couple of days. That was the highest winning margin in an ANZAC Day game. Ooh. And it's also the first time since sometime last year that Collingwood have scored over 100 points.
Damn, tracks.
So, which I found interesting and didn't bother doing any research to see if it was true, but it sounded good, so I'm rolling with it in true footy unfilterated style.
We are not a research sort of show. No. Does something.
Look like the face of a guy who has researched anything in his life.
We are the podcast of I saw something cool.
Vaccines.
I saw something cool on the internet.
We're basically just a meme show.
Yeah. It's
with a couple of old white dudes who love to talk about footy.
Just love footy. Speaking of weird footy, though, Port Adelaide 95, Geelong 65. Geelong got out to a flight. So I was at the pub by this point as this one's sort of starting. And I'm like, so basically half paying attention to these two games, the Freo Carlton Port Geelong one. A couple of Cats fans there with me, a couple of Blues fans. And you're just like, this is a bad night for many different reasons. We're mourning a friend and our teams stink and they just couldn't do anything. Like the Cats, it was one of the weird sort of hapless Cats games that you don't see very often, right? Like they just couldn't make inroads. It was just a really, like after getting off to a flyer and looking pretty good, and then it all just sort of went pretty squirrely by the end of the first, and he's like, what is going on? And you're like, it's Geelong. They'll pull it back. And then it just sort of plateaued, and Port just stayed there and outplayed them pretty convincingly, especially that third quarter where they just they had a million shots on goal. They couldn't quite convert. They should have beaten them by a lot more if Mitch Georgiades had a kick straight.
Jeepers, 4-6.
4-6. It was crazy too. And, they ended up just slapping him around. You're like, geez, this is Port Adelaide. Like, Cats, I just don't think the Adelaide Oval really is like
no, they don't like it there, do they?
Bit of a weird one. But Georgiades was awesome. Hornet was good. Butters copped the Mullen tag, but still
fought pretty hard and had a better than average game. Not one of his best, but better than average.
Yeah. So bit of a weird one, and it's sort of hard.
Yeah, Geelong were ordinary, and I think the Blixar's injury really didn't help. And again, like I said, they're almost the other end of the scale where they're so old that they lose one of their mainstays, and they seem to struggle to adapt within the game. Some other teams like Hawthorn, for example, and Sydney seem to be able to adapt a bit better, whereas Geelong, I think they're so reliant on the maturity and the structure that the old boys bring that when one of them goes down early in a game, they just don't seem to be able to cope with it. And obviously all their sort of senior players were a little bit down. It was very similar to the grand final loss.
Yeah.
And very similar, and I think a better team would have put them away by a lot more.
Yep. The weird one, I remember, again, seeing things on the internet and just assuming that was what happened, but because I can't remember how many it was. But I think
the internet never lies.
After that start, I think Port kicked 11 in the next 14, and you're like, that's just a lot. So they just ran away.
They only had 14 for the game too.
Just like, what the hell is going on?
Crazy.
It was crazy. Like, we're watching in the pub. I'm like, what? Oh my god! All right, jeez. Same thing happened in Freo Carlton, 103-89. This one was actually close, but again,
I watched the second half of this, and it was actually, Carlton is so good at kicking themselves right between the legs.
They really are. They really are.
Freo are actually sneaky good.
Yep.
But we don't. My son actually asked me, he goes, "What? How come you don't hear much about them?" I said, "Mate, if it was West Coast, being, what are they, 6-1 and having won 6 in a row, you would be hearing about it everywhere, especially in Perth." I said, "But nobody cares about Freo except for our supporters." But they're just quietly moseying on along and taking care of business. Not pretty, but getting it done kind of thing. But this second half, I think I mentioned last week, I went to the ice hockey, watching Melbourne Mustangs and Perth Thunder.
That's right.
That was awesome. One of the best things. Such a fast-paced, physical game. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was a great day. I thought, yeah, of course it'll be fine at the ice hockey. I'll just wear shorts and a T-shirt. I was freezing. Absolutely freezing by the end of it, but had an absolute ball. Went there with Ruby, my youngest daughter, and it was, one of the coolest things. So we'll be going back to that. But by the time I got home, I watched the second half of this game, and I thought at one stage it looked like Freo were going to pull away. But Carlton actually showed a bit in that last quarter, and they brought it back. I think it was about 5 or 6 goals at one stage. And I reckon if they'd had another 5 minutes, the way they were going, they probably could have lost by 2 points.
Yep.
But, yeah, they think, Cripps sort of something he hasn't done yet, and actually sort of stood up late and tried to drag them across the line. But Freo were just too good in the end. They just did enough.
I'm still getting over local man discovers that ice is cold. That's the absolute highlight of my show so far.
Yeah. I bought a beanie, so I was there. My head was nice and warm, and everything else was frozen.
So, watched a bit of this on the phone, and sort of caught up with it all properly later on the iPad. And I think when Bolton kicked those first 2 goals in the fourth quarter, I'm like, oh, right, that's it. And when we're watching, I'm like, yeah, that'll do, pig. And yeah, the fight back at the end was all right, but it's never enough. And you're like,
no,
you shouldn't have let it get that bad, as it were. Like, even without Voss, they didn't have the prancing pony. Their structure of their forward line just felt really effective. However, even with Cox in there, because you've still got Tracy and a miss doing things, but Bolton, just noted Carlton killer, having a day off. Our day out was wildly predictable. So, yeah, Blues, I don't know. It's just some weird sort of Ashton Moyer popping up and kicking him a couple of, which was nice. I love him, mostly because he came
Brody
down
Kemp
to...
had 4, which...
Yeah, Lewis Young, guess what? He wasn't very good. But anyway, the Ashton Moyer, I love him because he came down to Auskick. So the Squid met him and Jesse Motlop and Corey Durden. So Durden's ironically now on the power, but still, I don't know. The Blues just, they're not there.
Yep.
Anyway, Sunday.
I think we know how the season's going to go for them, and it's going to be very similar to a few teams around them on the ladder. So
just hoping we beat Essendon on King's birthday eve, and that's all that matters to me now. That's
footy unfilterated cup.
That's my Super Bowl. So St Kilda 143, West Coast 42. That is a 101 point difference. That's a big one. But again, one that I saw on the internet, 48 inside 50s for the Eagles, and they kicked 5 goals. How's that even possible? It's just...
That's either really, really good defence or really, really bad forward pressure or a combination of both. And I'm tipping it was probably – I didn't actually watch this game, but I'm tipping it was probably the forward pressure.
Why not both? I don't – look, Saints killed them. And I think this will be the thing that happens to the West Coast Eagles when they play at the G at Marvel. Yeah, I just – especially with half-decent teams like St Kilda. So, tough one. I don't know. Do you want to dig into that much more? I think the only one who sort of stunk in that was TDK. He just had like everybody else was awesome, and he was just like, "Oh, what do I do with my hands?" And
he's not having a good year, is he?
Higgins was smashing. What did he kick in the end? I think it was 5. I think Higgins got 2, which is awesome. And I think the other one that stood out to me when I was watching bits of this, I think it was on my phone again, actually. Hugo Garcia just streaming through the middle, like time after time, causing all sorts of havoc. I'm like, I love Hugo Garcia. Brisbane, Adelaide.
I think it's a win that,
that's right.
We'll move on.
Yeah, it's 101 points. Like.
Brisbane, Adelaide.
127.
There's not much else you can say.
127.75. Brisbane put a bit of a whomping on him. Zach Bailey popped up. Lockie Neal had an absolute rip snorter. And I'm saying, could he win a third Brownlow? He is pretty solid so far this season. He had a couple of MIA games, but up until now, he's probably...
He copped a really big hit in the middle of the game too from, I think it was Rankine, and it folded him. And it just looked like it was hurting everywhere all at once. And I thought, ooh, that's maybe the ex has got a voodoo doll out there just... But no, he was awesome.
Their run and carry game, the Lions, when it's up and about, when they're playing at the Gabba, God, there's very little things that feel like
scary good,
more
scary
inevitable.
Good.
Like they've got they go full Thanos, like it's I'm inevitable and like look out. So they were great. You had Zach Bailey, as I mentioned, with the 3 goals and 29 touches. Like he was awesome.
Started off pretty ordinary too, Zach Bailey, and just. Came good. Again, it seems to be a theme of Brisbane games. I thought at some point this game could have been another one like last Sunday.
Yeah.
But then Brisbane just said, no, we're not losing against Eagles. So
they just...
Yes, I saw it. I saw you doing it.
Charlie Cameron kicked 4 as well. Ding, 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 ding. He was going off his head.
He's been on a tear this year. So he's been on a real tear.
And so I was watching this game, I think by this point, watching this with the Squids, and... it was tight in like halfway through the second quarter, I want to say. And I'm like, this is a really fun game. It's like, it gets to halftime. They'd sort of just eked out ahead. I think I had to, go outside and just sort of do some yard stuff very quickly. Came back in halfway through the third and they're up by 40 or something. I'm like, what? Lions, what the hell just happened, man? And I
was actually goal umpiring Zach's game. Montana South under 15s, 2-0.
Nice.
Start of the year.
Never lost.
Kicked his first goal, and I was the goal umpire. And as we spoke about, this is a sidetrack, as we spoke about, none of this.
Not up in the air, you idiots. Just
no. My form is bang on, Jim. So you can let Tom know that next time you speak to him. Shout out to Tom from
B&T.
I forgot the name of his business, so I don't want to. B&T, that's the one. So you can tell Tom that. If you're watching, Tom, I've got the technique down pat, mate, just for you.
Love it.
But I was the same. I was sort of in and out watching and listening to this one, and same thing. All of a sudden, I think I jumped in the car to go home, and they were about as Adelaide had kicked goal to bring it back within 9 points, and then sort of did a few bits and bobs, get out the car, have a look at the scores. 45 points. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to worry too much about watching that one.
That's what Brisbane do. And then the best game of the week to finish off in Canberra. 105.98.
Would not have picked that on my bingo card.
I mean, I was like full blown, let's go north at the end of this one. I'm like, this is awesome. So 105 GWS beat the Roos 98. Griffin Logue at the death, gets a finger onto the ball, doesn't get called. So, that's not great. But overall, this game was just, I think every time you sort of counted them out, the Roos popped back up. And it's like, this is a very different team to the last couple of years, which is really good. And very fun. And as those kids mature and get better and better and better, it'll be like this inexorable rise and rise and rise. Like I think was the Sheasel goal that got them back within like maybe 12 or something like that. You're like, that was a sick goal. He just banged it in from like 50.
He's had a few of them already
he's been
this year. He just seems to be that clutch player who bobs up with a goal when you really need it. So, but I thought North were ordinary, to be honest with you. I thought that as much as they lost the game, they definitely lost the game more than GWS won it. So
definitely,
it's sort of a tale of where the two teams are. You've got sort of GWS and North, and it's kind of going like that. But at the moment, GWS just snuck one above to halt the decline, I think. But, yeah, good signs for North, really good signs.
And I think
Tristan Xerri was a man possessed.
God, he was good. The package, Jake Stringer, that goal that he kicked there at the start of the fourth, where it's just like ballooned up and over around his body, was absolutely immense. That was pretty fun. I like, as much as I rag on Jake Stringer, like when he does Jake Stringer stuff, it rocks. Like, it's simple as that. It's like, that rocked.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm glad he's gone, don't get me wrong, but yeah, he does. He's a showman.
The Warlord was fantastic at times as well. I just love how he plays. She's very, 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 very solid. Like Luke Parker at the very
kicked 4.
Luke Parker at the end as well was just awesome. And GWS, I mean, Toby Green was just everywhere. It was a really, like, Lockie Whitfield, like, just some of their class shoot, it was sort of showing through a little bit late as well. Like, those runs through the middle where they're actually just sort of bang, 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 just carving you up. And you're like, yeah, this is what happens when you've got a little bit more experience than the other team. And really good win for GWS.
The Orange Tsunami.
Exactly. I do miss the Orange Tsunami. God, that was fun. We were
From
there.
The Orange team.
Yeah, we went to the elimination final where they beat St Kilda at the MCG, where it was like the sort of re-emergence of the Orange Tsunami, basically. That was really fun. But anyway, good win for the Giants. Tough one for North. That, as you said, they kind of left one on the table. That was round 7. We should give away some awards. So
let's do that, Jim.
Here's our week 7 awards. Gablett Areas, best on ground. It's just, there's Pendles. He won his 4th ANZAC medal. He had 43 touches, Jez. I hate Collingwood, and 18 score involvements is absurd. So, I think Pendles can have that one. Lockie Neal, honourable mention with his 42, absolutely carving up. And Cozzy just took the piss as well. He was so good against the Tigers.
I've got a stat on Pendles. It's the first time he has ever had more disposals than mentions about him playing basketball.
First time ever. Amazing.
You don't need to check that. That is a fact.
Wait, he played basketball?
Yeah, didn't know.
I really like basketball.
They only mentioned it 42 times.
I always have the moments as well where I'm like watching a Channel 7 broadcast versus a Fox footy broadcast, and you're just like, what is this? And I get like,
hard.
I get so angry so quickly. I'm like, why am I listening to BT? Anyway.
Yeah.
Who is your Gablett Areas this week, Jez?
Oh, once again, I couldn't decide. Obviously, Pendles was unreal, and even as an Essendon supporter, you gotta take your hat off to him at that age to do what he's doing. So, but I thought there was a couple. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Nazaya Wanganeen Milera, 34 touches, was in a smashing, so doesn't count. Jack Higgins with 5 goals. I sort of had a question mark on Toby Green because I think it's a game he needed to have and we've been waiting for a while. 28 and 2 goals and was a massive part of them winning.
Yep.
But the 3 votes is going to the Hornet. 34 disposals and a goal. Yes, it was at home, but it was against a pretty decent side. And as we've been saying, we've wanted to see more from him because he's clearly a talented individual. And the last few weeks, he's really stepped up and been a big part in some pretty good footy by Port Adelaide. So as I said, I don't rate them, and I still don't after that win. But I think if they've got him playing well, going alongside with Butters, it's going to make things a lot easier for him down the track.
It's a good.
So the Hornet.
Great shout, because I think as soon as Mullen goes to Butters, it just sort of meant that he had to do something. And he did. He backed it up, which was very, very nice. Who am I buying a beer this week? Aaron Norton, because he survived. That's good. Jeez. And obviously Pendles.
I think he might need something a little bit more stiffer than a beer.
Maybe. His neck's as stiff as anyway. So it's just like, well, I need a stiff drink to lessen the stiffness. Here we go. Norton surviving that is amazing. And good on him. But Pendles as well. I mean, 43 touches, wins that 4th ANZAC medal, is taking the week off, just going full RDO. So he can have a couple of tins. So, all right, Pendles. My shout. Good on him. Just old man River having a crack. Who you got there, Jez?
Well, I am going to buy a beer for Ross Lyon because nice. I like the way he handled the whole situation with the Indigenous boys, and I think it should be a blueprint for the way clubs should handle it and not let the media get involved and blow it up. And he's had a rough couple of weeks, and I think it would have been very different had they lost to West Coast. I think there might have been a little bit more made of it, but I like the way he came out and was straight on the front foot. So I would happily buy Ross a beer this week. Hopefully he doesn't put it into some concoction in his lab as the mad scientist that he is. But yeah, Ross can have a beer from me this week.
I like it. The Ben Mackay Spud of the week. Spud. I'm just going to start calling this the Lewis Young Spud of the Week award because load it. Basically, the two goals that I alluded to earlier to Shea Bolton were directly Lewis Young related. And I am filled with exactly zero confidence in that poor young man. And it's kind of weird that they kind of keep feeding him to the wolves, but it's like, I don't know what he does good. And I feel bad.
I think until he's on the similar contract money that Ben Mackay is, it's going to stay the Ben Mackay Spud of the Week because Lewis Young is the Timu Ben Mackay at the moment. But I know what you're saying. I feel it with obviously Ben Mackay.
Yeah, and I feel like we've got a bunch of other sort of roughly analogous players waiting to get a bit of a run, and they sort of just go, no, Lewis Young's the guy. It was nice to see Cottrell back as well, which I was pretty happy about. I got a bit of time for Cotters. Who have you got better than? Oh no, Ben Mackay Spud of the Week award for you, Jez.
All right, so this week my Spud of the Week is Danger. 100% game time. Let's count them out, Jim. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all he had.
What?
4. Yes, he kicked a goal.
Tins or like
4 disposals.
Jeez.
In 100% game time. I have said it. It's the second time I've gone after old Danger, but I think he is done. And the sooner he announces it, whatever, and allows the fans to give him the farewell that he deserves, I think the better. When you're a liability to your team, even being as great as he has been, I think it's time that he and look, he's earned the right to do it his own way, and Geelong, they've been pretty good with that sort of stuff. But I think, he's been ordinary this year. It's like that cliff. He's just jumped off it to see how far out he could get. So, and Ben Mackay.
Nice. Speaking of the way that Geelong do it, it was interesting to hear Joel Selwood on the radio laugh about, I didn't quit. I got sacked. It's like, oh, jeez. Really, Joel Selwood? It might just be the CTE speaking as well, but who knows?
There's a fair bit of scar tissue around that noggin.
Yeah. Better than Bootsma! I'm going back to another blue here, Cooper Lord, because I basically alternate between like ruse. I could have gone Cooper Trembath again this week, but Cooper Lord popped back up into the team. He missed a couple of weeks. He had like a little thing. It wasn't too crazy, I think. He might have been sick one of the weeks, I think. Anyway, go back, and he adds like a very interesting other dimension to the Blues, which I very much appreciate and enjoy. Yes, I like Cooper Lord a bit. And who have you got there, Jez?
Well, I've got to give a special mention to Archer Daywicks. Took an awesome hanger and kicked a couple of goals.
Yep.
But I've got Josh Lindsay from the West Coast Eagles in a pretty ordinary result. He was a bit of a shining light. I think he might have just got across the 30 disposal mark. But he was pretty good in a very ordinary team.
Yeah.
So, and just going over the stats, I think it was good to see. One of the positives from that game was that a lot of the young fellas were high up on their stats.
Yep.
Stats count. So I think Harley Reid had 27 and a goal. And yeah, but Josh Lindsay, from all reports, had a good day out in an ordinary loss.
The other one I remembered from Friday night was Sam Cummings. So the dude who did his shoulder and kicked a goal in his first game. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. Nice. All right, quick yeah nahs. The stand rule. Are we going to get this fixed, Jez? Yeah, nah.
No.
No, we're not, are we? God damn it.
We should, yes.
We're making a lot of noise.
We won't. There'll be a lot of talk about it.
If Greg Swan can change the arc rule that quickly, surely we can go, look, if the offensive player comes off their line, then guess what? The player standing the mark, that's basically them playing on if they've gone off their line. It's the same if you're kicking for goal. What are we doing here?
Yep.
Come on. Common sense. They need the vice president.
Very simple, very, very simple fix to a lot of these issues, isn't it, Jim?
Same, speaking of which, arc, was that an overreaction? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're just going to keep digging. And as I said earlier, right, we're going to keep digging and digging and digging, and we're going to end up exactly where we started, and there'll be a goal missed in the in a final or something. And
I'll reiterate my point from earlier. I don't like reviews in any sport. I would be happy if they said, "Look, we're going to go it alone and let the ball play it as it lies, whatever you want to call it. We're going to back our umpires." One goal umpire that never, ever asked for a review, David Roden.
He's amazing.
And they should have him as the benchmark, the example. This is how you need to approach it. And maybe it's the fact that he's played a couple of hundred games, probably helps. But yeah, there's a severe. It's like they feel like they're too scared to make a mistake, or they're going to get slapped on the wrist. So yeah, it's not ideal.
We could also go and buy a beer, actually, just to throw it back to the boundary umpire. Patrick Deneen, who apparently broke his arm in 3 places when he went down the other night. So
it looked pretty floppy when he got up.
It did not look healthy at all. Speaking of David Roden, because he was like the backup umpire. that was a bit of a weird.
It would have been good to watch him running around. And that's right. They had one boundary umpire for that period of game, and you could hear the commentary going off their head, going, "What are they going to do with one boundary umpire?" Probably the same thing they used to do with one field umpire. Yeah. Just get on with it.
Just run and shush. This one came up this week. Do we need to be honouring the troops even more all the time, every week of the AFL, Jez? Yeah, nah.
Nah.
Thank you. I
think it just. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off there, but just judging by the basketball that I watch, and the American sport that we both watch a fair bit of, I don't even know the word for it, how I can say it nicely without offending children. The way they jump on the military over there, and it's just so over the top with all their, they would rather see a homeless person die in the street before they disrespected a military veteran, and I think that's ridiculous.
And sometimes those two things aren't mutually exclusive, and that's the biggest problem.
Correct, yeah.
There's this.
I think we do a really good job at it as it stands, and I think where it is right now, we've got it pretty much spot on.
Yep.
I don't think we need to improve it.
I think we do too. So there's 2 words I want to throw in there: indoctrination. It's sort of what you're looking at when you've got all this messaging all the time about troops, military, strong, tough. You're like, all right, settle down. And the other one is fetishization, right? And it sort of fetishizes the military. And it's both, I think, collectively not very good for a nation's psyche. Having lived in the States for so long, it's nuts how much it just whacks you over the head with it. And when this came up over the weekend, it's like, we should have a thing where we honour the troops in every game and get a couple of servicemen and women out there and like they can have seats. And it's like, just settle down. Because
cool your jets, fella.
We do the ANZAC Day stuff so well, and it is an appropriate amount of respect to pay, I think, to all servicemen,
100%.
former and currently serving, right? That's the entire point of that. Like, it's to honour them. So they've got...
And it's not just the AFL that do it as well. Like, obviously, every AFL game for that weekend is done. It's every game played around the country.
Exactly.
Both of my boys did the pre-game service. Zach's team wore ANZAC jumpers, which were really, really cool. If I've got a photo, I'll chuck one up on the socials. But they're a dark green and white team, and the jumpers look awesome. I didn't even notice they were that until which I like the subtlety of some of the jumpers. You get some clash jumpers and all that stuff that are just out there, and you go, what the? But yeah, I think the AFL and football and even sports that play rugby league, they do it. They all do it so well, and I think if we push it any harder, it's just going to, as you said, it's going to oversaturate the message, and I think the way we do it is perfect, spot on, leave it, don't touch it. There are plenty of other causes out there that we can dedicate that kind of exposure to before we need to add more to this one.
Yeah, because it sort of gets to, I think, the entire idea of like the respect and like paying respects, that's what it's about. And once you start paying respects all the time, then that one time a year when it's all...
waters it down, doesn't it?
It completely waters it down. So,
yeah.
Two quick ones. Is Toby Green the greatest giant ever? I think you threw this one in here, Jez.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, nah. It's kind of hard when they've never won anything, isn't it?
True. Well, I sort of stole this one, but it got me thinking, and I went back and I actually did some research. So I lied earlier. But there's two players left over from the very first Giants game, and that's Toby Green and Stephen Coniglio.
Nice.
Which Green I was sort of suspected, but I didn't realise Coniglio had been around that long. And I probably couldn't split them. You'd have to go with Toby Green just because he's probably had more X factor type, games where he's won it off his own boot. But Coniglio, if he hadn't have been as injured as he has been over his career, I think we'd be talking about a Brownlow medalist. So it's very hard to split them, but I reckon Toby edges him out just. But I can't think of anyone else who's better than either of those for any period. Maybe Callum Ward, but he was probably more of a serviceable, leader rather than a great of the club, I guess, without being disrespectful to him, because he's clearly a legend of the club, no doubt there. But I would probably say yeah.
So you're not going to pay John Patton, no?
No.
Heath Shaw.
I did have Izzy Folau close third, but
Heath Shaw collecting a paycheck.
Jonathan Giles. Geez, there were some interesting names in that.
Shane
in
Mumford.
That first team.
Sausage.
No, he actually played. He played in their first game, but he actually played for Sydney. Believe it or not.
That's weird. Phil Davis, obviously one of the greats. It's crazy, isn't
Chad Corns.
Chad Corns.
Luke Power.
And last one, I think, and I will say, I think Toby Green's the greatest. So I don't think anyone's got him.
Thank you.
Hawks and Suns, are they just streets ahead of everyone at the moment? Yeah, nah.
Yes.
They're terrifying. We're probably not
you
giving...
You said you mistakenly said Suns. I'm sure you meant Swans.
Swans, sorry. Hawks and Swans. What am I saying?
Yes.
I've just got
Hawks and Suns? No.
Suns on the brain. What am I talking about? No, I didn't. That was no mistake. Of course the Suns are streets ahead. As long as they play above the 27th parallel, they're unbeatable. Right.
That's fair.
I think, Freo...
Yeah, I think they are.
Freo are sort of pushing there, but I think it's... The brand of football that we've seen from both Sydney and Hawthorn is better than anybody else we've seen, apart from first 4 rounds Western Bulldogs is going to be, we need to get that bottled. That's a vintage. We need, you'll be telling you, the first 4 games of the Western Bulldogs season in 2026.
And then they played Essendon and we somehow passed the curse of injury onto them.
Yeah, you broke them. It's it follows, right? You went full it follows on them. Jeez, gross.
Yeah, we did it, and they're now they have our injury curse, and we're just shit. But
there you go.
Here we are.
All right. There's the year nows. There's your weekly awards. Let's do.
You're welcome, everyone.
A round 8 preview.
Let's get into it.
All right, this round 8 preview is. There's some interesting games this week. A couple of stinkers, but I think overall, on balance, I kind of really like it because mostly Thursday is an absolute bang up. So I think to catch up, actually, I didn't do the tipping update just yet. So I think if I do that very quickly, I believe I didn't even fill that in, so I'm well behind the 8 ball. Anyway, I probably owe you some beers, but let's just do this week. We have Pies Hawthorn on Thursday night. This is a ripper. No Pendles. He's already been ruled out. He's got his RDO. The Pies are 21.5-point home underdogs against the Hawks, which feels about right, I feel. Hawthorn are playing fantastic. Collingwood did just belt Essendon. They sort of heated kind of rivalry. This is the Ginnivan Cup.
Yeah.
What are you going to do here, Jez? Do you like Collingwood plus 3.5 or the Hawks?
I do actually like the Pies to cover because I think Hawthorn, whilst they have... Do they get Sicily and Moore back?
Yep.
I think the Pies will cover just. I think they're good enough. I don't think they'll win, but I think they will cover and keep this game very interesting.
Nice. I think my initial thought was Collingwood as well to cover that 21.5, but I think Hawthorn also have a little bit of an extra gear to get into, especially for some of these night games. I can sort of see it getting away from the Pies a little bit late, so I'm going to go the Hawks. Friday, Western Bulldogs, Freo, 21.5-point underdogs at home are the Dogs. That's a bit of a kick in the guts. Can Freo travel? That's what we're going to find out. What do you reckon here, Jez?
I'm actually going to take the Dogs pending the inclusions. If we see one of those injured boys back, if Norton plays, if we see one of the injuries back this week, like a Libber or a Tinglish, I'm not sure how far off they are both, but I think being at Marvel, if it was over in Perth, I'd be Freo all day, but I'm going to back the Dogs to cover with not a great deal of confidence, but I think Freo seem to be able to just get the job done without any sort of fanfare. They're just knocking teams off to keep their win streak alive. So I think they'll make it 7 in a row, but Doggies should cover. How about you, Jim?
I'm going to take Freo because, look, they're playing better. I think the size of that forward line for the Dockers up against this decimated Dogs team, like without O'Donnell, if they get lobbed back, who knows? But I just kind of trust Freo a little bit more right now. Like, they're not afraid of Marvel either, I think. I think in their last, I want to say 6 games, I think they're 5-1 there or something like pretty similar. That is a lot of bad North Melbourne, bad Saints teams, but they did beat the Dogs there last year. So, I'm going to take Freo. Tough matchup.
Nice.
Tough matchup. Fun game, though. Great, weird uniform matchup that you never sort of think about. So, but then the big one on Friday, the showdown. This is going to be pretty good.
This is actually going to be interesting.
Bit of a spicy one with the way that the ladder is right now. You're sort of looking at these two teams going, this is genuinely important right now because you're both 3 and 4 and 11th and 13th on the ladder. So whoever wins this not only gets bragging rights, but a much needed boost, possibly into the top 10. So Adelaide are 11.5-point favourites. What do you reckon here, Jez? Who do you trust?
Ooh. I'm going to, based purely on form, I'm going to go for Port to cover. I think this is going to be a close showdown. So, yeah, I'm going to take Port to cover. I think Adelaide will win, but I reckon it'll be under 2 goals. So
nice. 59th showdown, which is pretty fun.
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to take...
Calm the pair.
I'm going to take the Crom. So...
Ooh, I think, we've gone all different.
I think we have so
far. Look out.
3-3.
This could make or break either of us.
Could end up owing you a slab after this week. Who knows?
Oh.
Yeah, I just feel like Adelaide, they looked pretty pedestrian the other day against the Lions. Tex, I don't know if he has a big bounce back or if they just drop him. I don't know. I don't think you can drop him for a showdown, but
I don't think they will.
Yeah,
no,
he needs a big boost. But I think Yeah, I just trust the Crom just that little bit more, especially at Adelaide Oval. This should be a ripper. So that's a great showdown for your Friday night. Settle in. I've got a gig to go to, unfortunately, but I'll find a pub and watch a bunch of it beforehand. So, Saturday, Essendon versus Brisbane. Ruh-roh. How are you feeling about this one, Jez? Yeah, Brisbane minus 40.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see any way that it's not going to be that. So I hope it's not, but I'm going to go back to my declaration from a few weeks back, and I'm not tipping Essendon.
Yeah. If they'd bothered to play this at the MCG, maybe, I'd be like, ooh, maybe the Dons. Who knows what Brisbane can get up to on the MCG. But it's at Marvel, and I think they'll kill them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Brisbane. Sort of pretty tough one there. West Coast Richmond, this is
going to be an ordinary game.
Absolute bottom feeder, this one. But the Eagles are 16.5-point favourites, which is crazy. But here we are. After a 101-point drubbing, 16.5-point favourites. Can the Tigers keep up? What do you reckon, Jez?
No, I reckon West Coast will. The thing is with such a young team like West Coast is those losses they've had won't faze them as much as if they were a team full of mature heads like, let's say, Carlton, for example, or even Essendon. So I think being such a young team and coming up against another very young team who don't know how to win, I think 16.5 is probably about right, although I could very easily see this being a 7-8 goal win after being probably the line around three-quarter time.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm comfortable in taking the Eagles to win that one quite easily.
Yeah, I feel like the line feels about right, and I think the Eagles can win it at home, in front of that crowd. Tigers travel pretty nicely, obviously, but I just don't know if they got the horses to hang.
Nothing would make me happier than this being a 1-point result. Either way, I reckon it'd be unreal if that was that close a game, but I don't think it's going to be.
Geelong host North Melbourne down at Taxpayer Stadium, minus 28.5 for the Cats. That seems a bit.
That's a bit
rich, isn't it? I'm going to take the. Oh, I don't know. Down at GMHBA though, you never know. Bit of a weird one. You've got Cherry coming back. He looked awesome on the weekend. Blixavs goes out for the Cats. I don't mind the Roos to at least stay within spitting distance.
I'm going to go with the Roos. I think that's a pretty big line, especially considering how ordinary Geelong were last week, and they've also lost Blixavs. They've got a few players out of form. North looked good. North didn't play well, but still looked good. So I don't think they'll win, but I think they can keep it respectable. So let's do it, North.
When do you reckon the last time North Melbourne beat Geelong was?
I may have been in nappies. Yeah. No, probably in their premiership years. I'm thinking
2015 was the last time.
Oh, there you go.
120-79 at Marvel. So, oh boy, I'm taking the Roos. So are you? Carlton, St Kilda. How are the Blues? 14.5-point underdogs. It should be probably a little bit more. The Blues and the Saints.
Is this at the G or at Marbell?
That is a good question. I believe it'll be at the G because Essendon is playing Brisbane earlier at Marvel. So my guess would be the G. And they are. So, no, it's a Marvel. They're doing a double header. That's crazy, man.
Look out.
That is wild, isn't it?
Well, in that case, I'm going to take the Saints.
Me too. If we're playing at the G, I was going to back the Blues a
and
little
I
bit.
think you can thank West Coast for playing them into front-running form because I think if they get a few goals up on them, this could be a massive win for the Saints.
Watch TDK have his best game of the year as well. They are going to demolish rate the Blues, I reckon.
That'll be the one to watch.
Unless, the Blues will get Mackay back. They'll probably do something about George Hewitt and bring him back into the team would be my guess. Pitto might
still
be
no
back
Pitto
as well.
though.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, still going
if ever there was a game where TDK should dominate, this is it.
Yeah, dominate Lockie Reedy. Yeah, we could both go on the Saints minus 14.5. Feels fair. Sunday, we have a later start because we've got the 2 games on the Friday night. We've got the 2, and then we've got the 4 games across Saturday, which is, I don't know why we've sort of spread it out like this, but we've only got the 2 games on the Sunday starting from 3:15. Sydney hosting Melbourne, which is actually a belter. The Swans are still 32.5-point favourites, which feels about right. But then, I don't know, can the D's stick with them a little bit here, Jez? What do you think?
I'm going to say they can. Although they've been up for a few weeks, so now 2 weeks, I reckon. And no, I'm going to take the Swans.
Yeah, I'm taking the Swans. They're the best team we've ever seen.
I'm going to take the Swans. I think Melbourne will go all right for a half, and then this might be the week where they fall back a little bit. But yeah, I reckon Sydney. If they keep it under that to Sydney, that's a good result for the D's.
Yep. Nice one. And then we've got the Expansion Cup, GWS versus Gold Coast. So the Suns hosting the GWS Giants, which means they're above the 27th parallel, which means I'm taking my beloved Gold Coast Suns to cover the 18.5-point line.
After watching both of these games, these teams play on the weekend, I have no confidence in either of them. All I can think is that I'm going to follow your logic, and I reckon Dimmer will have given them. And although both coaches are as angry as each other, so but I'm going to go with the Gold Coast as well because I think they're just a better side and they should win this.
Excellent. Right.
That's it.
That's all of round 8 picked and previewed for you. Slevo's Punters Club, best bet for round 8. What have you got there, Jez?
Well, I am going to go with Lockie Neal to have 35 touches or more. That's
a great one. I'm going to go the Brisbane Essendon over is mine. So sticking with the same game. It's 182, and I think, that absolute shootout vibes there, that one, under the roof.
That could be Brisbane on their own.
Yep. So, I love that over. Feeling pretty good about it. I was trying to think of one for the showdown if like Georgiades and Dawson, sort of like some sort of combo with Dawson touches. He was really good this week. Georgiades bouncing back from missing a chance at booting 10.
I think you'll find that the betting companies like Sportsbet and Dabble will have some interesting
showdown combos.
Well, I think Dabbles call it the Daily Dabble. And interesting combos on the showdown. They always seem to have a little promotion around that. So I'd keep an eye out for that. And you probably get some pretty good value for a first goal, any one of 4 or 5 players, which, let's be honest, in that game, it could be any one of 7 or 8 players. So
yeah, it's a good one. Nice.
Cool.
Is that it? We're done. Unbelievable. That is the round 7 wrap, the round 8 preview episode of Footy Unfilterated. I'll play the tune. That's the wrong tune. I'll play the tune. There we go. Every time. I got to get rid of the other one.
I love it.
Unbelievable stuff. But this is well, I've got gigs on Friday and Saturday night this week, and I'm kind of like, gosh, there's a couple of really good games, especially I want to be watching that showdown. So a bit of a tough one.
I'm actually going to the Last Chance on Thursday.
Nice.
I'm escorting Ruby to a hardcore show there, so I'm just hoping they've got a TV for me to watch the footy, or I'll be that old dude at the bar watching it on his phone. So.
Just ask Shane and Leanne to put it on for you and see how you go.
I'll tell them Jim sent me.
They won't know who I am. So I used to be important. But anyway, that is it for Footy Unfilterated this week. Follow us on the socials. Go absolutely nuts. Jump in the comments. Send through some nahs. Obviously.
Please.
Go check out the YouTube as well because it's got its own little standalone channel. So jump on there, subscribe, comment, say good day. Check out all the extra stuff. What I am going to do is get some graphics done up as well, so make it look a bit nausea. And so that's going to be fun.
Sounds good.
Subscribe across your podcast app of choice. Jump on all of our socials everywhere. We'll do some more stuff in the weeks to come as well. Get around all of us everywhere. So
and enjoy the footy.
Oh yeah. Just forget all the dumb stuff. I'm so sick of all the dumb footy stuff around it.
The negative garbage, and just come here and listen to us and enjoy your footy.
Grist for the mill. We just need 4, 5. How many people are we putting on like a footy unclassified footy panel and stuff like that now? It's like 87 people, and there's Hutchie and stuff. Like there's about 80 people at this thing at one point. And you're just like, I don't care.
We're very lucky that we can watch 150 shows. We can listen to 974 podcasts and read 683 articles that all say the same thing
every time. Anyway, that's what we're here for. So stay off the rubbish gear.
Right.
This is Footy Unfilterated. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.